Alright, so shit, man, I, just recorded this whole freaking dialogue, and then, something, didn't work out, on the other phone that I was, using. I need a shave, man. This is ridiculous. I look like a middle-aged guy with a mustache and a beard here, which is what I am, but, yeah, I don't really... Anyway, so I put part of, the backstory to, Oh My Dear in a previous video, then I kind of combined it with another backstory to another song on that post, you know. But I want to do one for this song all by itself because it's kind of significant, because it's the very first Ween song that ever existed. It's the first Ween song that I ever wrote, and I created Ween in the process of writing this song. So I should probably just tell the story. A better version of the story from the beginning, a more accurate, as much as I can, you know, resurface to my memory, to my conscious memory, waking memory, because, I slept, you know, when you start on something, you know, retrieving memory, your mind has to process that information. You remember one thing, and then you gotta kind of sometimes sleep for a few days, you know, not all day, you know, but you gotta sleep on it, you know, for a few days, you know, your mind will keep bringing it back and stuff, you know, when you're trying to remember something, you know. Okay, so this started. There was these two girls. Okay, there was these two girls in my in my elementary school. I was in elementary school. I was attending a school called Chicago Christian Academy. It was an Orthodox Christian private school in Chicago on Belmont Avenue, right? It's still there, I think. Anyway. Okay, I'm 9 years old, okay, in the context of this history, right? The year is 1984, and I'm in 5th grade, okay? And I'm sitting at the parking lot, on the parking lot of the school. It's after school. School's over. I'm on the parking lot waiting for my mom to come and pick me up to bring me home. She doesn't come. So I'm trying to figure out, do I gotta walk to my dad's house, which is a ways away, you know, but it's closer than where my mom lives anyway, and I can walk to my dad's house. I just don't know where I'm at, what I'm actually supposed to be doing, because there was like a custody case thing, you know. My parents divorced when I was 2 years old, and my dad lived in a different place than my mom lived, you know, and then there was a fight about where I was supposed to be. Am I supposed to be with my dad? Am I supposed to be with my mom? He's got visitation rights. She's got the actual custody, you know. All that bullshit, you know. It should be illegal for any fucking child to be going through, right? Anyway, I'm sitting on a parking lot, and nobody's there. Nobody comes to get me, right? So these two girls come out, this particular day, they come out of the school, because they were late coming out, because I guess they had some extracurricular after-school stuff, you know. Everybody else is gone. I'm sitting out there, and they come up, they see me there, and they're like, you know, okay, why are you still here? And I was explaining it to them, and they're like, well, that's bogus, you know, we'll talk to our mom. Our mom is, you know, a good person. She stays home a lot, and she can look after you, and, you know, we would be happy to have you, you know, you seem cool, you know. She'll look out for you until your mom gets back, you know, from work or whatever. We'll set something up. We'll get our mom to talk to your mom, you know. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, first of all, there's something that I should just at least put out there first. I'm a witch. And they're like, okay. I was like, well, I'm not Christian. So I'm not assuming that automatically makes me a witch, but just for the, you know, I know for some people it's like that, you know, but for the record, I actually am a practicing witch. And, you know, this wasn't like a trendy thing or anything that was popular back then, you know. It was me to be in attendance at an Orthodox Christian private school, and to be saying this to other students that also attended there, you know, that had a Christian mom and everything, you know. And I'm like, what do you mean by that anyway? And I was like, well, look, do you remember Looney Tunes? And they're like, Looney Tunes, yeah. And I was like, okay, you remember at the beginning, opening title screens, how they had, sometimes they had variations in the titles, like Merry Melodies, Looney Tunes. Merry Melodies was spelled differently, M-E-R-R-I-E, or sometimes M-E-R-R-Y. Tunes was sometimes spelled T-U-N-E-S, sometimes T-O-O-N-S. They're like, yeah, all right. I said, but now it's permanently set to Looney, L-O-O-N-Y, Tunes, T-O-O-N-S. Like, why? How? I said, because it's something, that's something that I did. Because of their kids. She said, what do you mean? I said, well, because Plucky had a son named Buster Bunny, and Porky Pig had a son named Hampton Pig, and Daffy Duck had a son named Plucky Duck, and that cartoon is called Tiny Toons, T-I-N-Y-T-O-O-N-S, so it has to be, that title has to be in sync with, you know, for the new generation to be able to see where, you know, the context of it, that it was, you know, from Looney Tunes, you know, the Looney Tunes generation, you know, that was their children, you know. So when did this happen? I said, well, it happened in the future. It was an idea that I got, but they're gonna do it. They're gonna actually. So how do you know that? It was because I don't know, because I said so. You know, I de-waved it. And they're like, all right. And like, so do you intend to hurt us? And I was like, no. If you get that signal from me, then just don't talk to me anymore. And they're like, all right. So, and I said, so, and also, you know, because I wrote the theme song to Looney Tunes, and I wrote a song for They Might Be Giants to be used in a cartoon in one of the episodes of Looney Tunes, you know, which was Particle Man and everything. And also the Istanbul, not Constantinople. You know, my grandmother used to sing that song to me, so I also had They Might Be Giants do a cover of that and use it as a song in one of the episodes of Tiny Toons, right? Anyway, I was explaining all that to them, and they're like, so you're a songwriter? And I said, yeah. And they were like, can you, and these two girls were attractive, you know, so, you know, I gave them the TV and the radio, right, and I let them, you know, get close to me and talk to me and have a conversation with me and stuff, and I'm talking to them about this stuff, you know, and they're like, can you write a song for us? And I was like, sure, I'll do it right now. I won't even write it down. I'll just sing it to you, and then we can write it down later. And they're like, all right, like, tell me, you know, sing us this song. All right. I was like, all right, and I went. So I went. I think I was snapping my fingers. I went. Tell me where you come from, was it heaven above? Oh my dear, I must be falling in love. Can you climb the sunny peaks of a fortress in mud? Oh my dear, I must be falling in love. Did I tell you I want more than what you're really made of? Oh my dear, I must be falling in love. And I did the air guitar thing, you know, and all that, you know. And they're just looking at me like, you know, like, whoa, okay. They're like, okay, you're cool, you're you're coming home with us, right? So I guess they were waiting on a ride themselves for their mom to come and get them, and then they, let me come home with them and stuff. And but while that conversation extended, as we were still standing out there, they said, "Okay, so." I said, "Yeah, that song is on a record now." And they're like, "Right now?" I was like, "Well, no, I mean, it was released in the future, but the future is happening simultaneously, because I said this, I de-waved, I kind of locked us into a timeline where we're going to stumble into this record, that has this song on it that we just made here together. And it's going to be by a band called Ween. And it's just going to be these two kids named Dean and Gene Ween. Those are their stage names. That's not their real names. They're like, well, what's their real names? I was like, well, Aaron Freeman and Mick. And they're like, do you know these guys? I was like, no, I just made it up there. But that's their names, And they're in grade school like us. They're in elementary school like us. And they have, well, actually, they're a little bit in higher. Actually, they're. Yeah, well, actually, as we speak right now, they're also still in elementary school like us, and actually, their band right now is just called the Synthetic Socks, and they got stuff at home, like some instruments and recording, like tape recorders, or they can just, they're making these little homebrew tapes that just sound like total trash, but it develops later into like something a little bit more professional, and then they actually release these studio albums, and then that song that I just made will be released on one of these studio albums, and they're like, I was right, and then they agreed with me, so I said, caught their eye about it, and they're like, yeah, okay. And so, see, it's just like that, when I write sometimes a song, I don't just write a song, but I actually write, like, into the fabric of reality, like, I don't know how to explain it. And I said, how did they hear, like, if you don't know them, It's like, well, they picked it up on the astral plane, vibrationally, they picked up the thought, because we agreed on it, so then they heard it, and then, either subconsciously or whatever, and telepathically, and then they there was a demon that went over there and gave them these, everything that all these agreements that we made, gave them these ideas. And the demon's name is Boognish. They're like, Boognish. Okay. So, so they're like, okay, cool. I was like, they're like, we just found this, like, cool dude, then we're gonna take him home, and we're gonna have some good times and adventures, Yeah, so basically, that's basically how it went down. And I said, okay, another thing I remember saying was, also, this song, when we get it on the record, it's gonna be even prettier, like, played backwards. And when I first find the cassette in a record store, it's gonna be accidentally reeled in backwards. When I get it home and put it in the cassette player, it's gonna play backwards, And they're like, okay. And then those things actually happened, and I don't still have a copy of that backwards cassette. Like, I found it at Valhalla, this record store on the corner of Lake Street and Oak Park Avenue, in Oak Park, which was like walking distance from where I lived with my grandmother in Berwyn. So I would go, like, she lived on, like, Harlem Avenue in Berwyn, and I would go down, walking down Oak Park Avenue, walk all the way down to Lake Street, and then I'd go to Valhalla. There was, like, a pool hall over there, there was a park over there, a college over there. And I ordered it, and then like the whole shipment was like that. When I came back to the store and said, hey, like this is kind of a funny one here and there, they told me, yeah, we know the whole shipment is like that. And I kept it for a while. I brought it to Michigan with me, and I was hanging out with some friends and using it as background music for like our dialogue over between the songs on the mixtapes that I would make. We used to make these mixtapes, you know, I had a dual cassette recorder, and I would move songs from one cassette to the other, the blank one that we were recording songs, or radio, or whatever. And we'd like do the you know, act like we were radio DJs and talking between the songs and stuff like that. We were still kids, you know. And yeah. So anyway, that's the story of my deer. I'm running out of time here. I'm about to run. It's about to stop, but. So then another part of what happened in that conversation was they were asking me like, how is this gonna like initiate, you know? And I was like, well, you know, Aaron and Mick are sitting at home with their stuff, you know, their instruments and their recording devices and shit, you know. And then Aaron says to Mick, hey, let's do, or Mick says to Aaron, whichever one, you know, like it's like, hey, let's do a song. And then like I like to say, like just hypothetically speaking, Aaron says to Mick, hey, let's do a song. And Mick's like, okay, let's what do you want? You know, okay, yeah, let's do yeah, sure. We'll do yeah, sure. And then Mick says, okay, yeah, sure. And then so they just start playing, you know, and then the lyrics to the song are just Aaron going, are you sure, Mick? And then Mick says, yeah, sure. Are you sure, Mick? Yeah, sure. Are you sure? Yeah, sure. You know, so it starts like that. They're making just noise, you know, like it's just like experimental sounds and noise, and like the first few tapes that they release are like just utter horror, you know, of just noise and obnoxiousness and stuff, but that develops further into actual, you know, more professional musicianship and stuff, and further forward in time, you know. And somehow because I permitted them to know the name of the demon that brought them all that information, so they integrated into their like their lore, you know. And then it works itself into their songs, like they sing worship songs to the demon and everything, and then they mention him in some of the songs and stuff like that. Just keeps coming up here and there, you know. So they're just like nodding, you know, it's cool, you know, like here's this just cool, funny guy that just tells these cool stories, and then you just get to agree with it, and we got into this whole discussion about the dynamic of D-Wave and everything. And I was like, yeah, you know, the mainstream doesn't want you to know about D-Wave, you know, because how do you market that, you know? How do you market, you know, that kind of control of your own experience, you know? How do you make money on that? You can't market D-Wave. So that's gonna have to be like this conspiracy kind of classified information kind of thing, until at some point in the Aquarian age, when people are a little bit more receptive and have more integrity and are less like narcissistic and controlling and have to dominate the next guy and all that sort of thing, and have the next person and all that. People actually start treating each other like human beings, you know. this stuff will be more normal and common and more common knowledge and everything. But for now, this is gonna be like we formed a cult or whatever. This is something we have between us. So, moving forward, now I'm at their apartment with their moms, and they're there also, and we're hanging out playing board games and stuff like that. The kids are playing like Life and Probe and whatever other board games, checkers, whatever, And we wrote other songs for Ween there, and I wrote other songs for Ween later in time, also in other places. And kind of continued the script and continued the story. And I'm gonna talk a lot of trash about Ween, and Ween doesn't give a fuck because they don't take themselves seriously, and Beck doesn't take himself seriously, and I can talk shit about Beck and he's not gonna shit himself over it, because we're all still just, who we are, we're just like free spirits that, at least within our own consciousness, we're not hung up, and I started posting like backstories and like stuff like that on this channel by request of somebody, and I'm not a celebrity. I'm still just this person, I mean, I'm technically like officially now a celebrity on YouTube because I actually have devoted trolls, that post these like insults to every time I post a video. There's I don't know who's doing it, but I kind of have a couple of hints, of who, some of my trolls, that are already on YouTube and stuff like that, with channels and stuff. But there was this one like today that posted onto that last video I had about Oh My Dear, that was connected to another song by They Might Be Giants, the theme song, The Boss of Me, and they were using the username Robot Overlord, and they posted just the word fraud. Like, oh, I'm a fraud, okay, whatever, my channel's got like 30 subscribers, I'm not a freaking TV station or anything like that, I'm not an established channel. I'm just posting, personal video logs, personal diaries, just personal memoirs of the stuff that I remember from my experience in the past and stuff like that. I was connected to these things, So, that's fine, it's cool to be a celebrity for a whole minute, but realistically, I'm sitting here like, because I'm oriented to resurfacing memories that were from a time when I was 9 years old and everything like that. So I'm sitting here like sounding like I'm a child and everything. I'm actually 45 years old. You can see the white hairs, growing out of my freaking beard here. I could reorient my presentation, of my actual personal character, and make myself look and sound more middle-aged, I guess, and old and everything. But that's not who I was in context to this information and these memories and stuff like that. I'm going back in time to 1984 when I was 9. In 5th grade. Technically 4th grade, because I was skipped over 4th grade because I was a grade A student, A+ student, and so they skipped me over 4th grade. So I was in 3rd grade in 1983, and then I was in 5th grade in 1984, you know. And I was just really prolific in writing, and I wrote a lot of songs, and I wrote a lot of stories, and I was like, my mind was constantly like creating in that creative space all the time, you know. Because that's how I got by, because I had an abusive home environment and everything, so I kept myself afloat through that medium, you know, just like staying in that space and just keeping myself survived by my own creativity, you know. So anybody that comes around and trying to take an adversarial position and trying to act like my coach or whatever, you're not. That's your problem. You know, you're not phasing me or triggering me. I'm just letting you know. I'm just giving you a heads up on that. You're wasting your fucking time. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck about any of that, but it's just kind of funny, you know, make a reference to it here for a minute, but I'm not selling any, I'm not selling, this is YouTube, my YouTube channel is, in sync with the original concept of broadcast yourself. You know, I'm not here trying to be a television station. You know, I'm not here to manufacture professional content and all that. It's just, I'm just posting my diary. If you don't like it, move on, you know, or don't. That's like, again, that's your problem, you know. If you're gonna shit on yourself, then I'm gonna like, I'm just gonna take that into context. You know, you're gonna identify yourself as somebody that needs to be flagged or whatever, identified, taken into context. Who I need to make, identify and understand, like, okay, who's there, why, it's good to know. It's good to know actually that I'm making a difference in the world, and I'm helping other people, however that translates. I'm helping people that are jealous to hurt themselves and accelerate, their process of taking themselves out so that the rest of society can move forward. So be it. As sad as that might be, I mean, that's how it is, you know. Sometimes you gotta fucking swat a fly or whatever, you know. It's in your face or whatever, you know. It is what it is. Anyway, the thing about can you climb the sunny peaks of a fortress in Memoir, that line was inspired by another experience that involved a pile of mud that I climbed when I was out at a camp outing with the Royal Rangers. It was like this kind of Orthodox Christian version of the Boy Scouts that they had in that school. And every year they would go out on hiking grades and everything, and you get to go out on their camp outings and stuff. And this one time I went out with them, and they marched us all down to this creek, and we were out playing in this little creek, and they throw these fake little gold pellets we can pan them out to pretend like we're reenacting the California Gold Rush, historically, that we're learning about in school, and all this bullshit. They all marched back to the outpost, and I fell back pretending like I was going to tie my shoe, and I went back to the creek and stayed there by myself for a couple hours and kissed them all off and all that shit. Good times, right? But when I came back, I was complete, because I smeared the mud all over my fucking body, all over my face, and all over so I was brown. I came back and I was fucking brown.
Yeah, and they couldn't even see us, and the sun had already gone down, and my outpost leader was sitting there like 1,000 miles there trying to figure out where the fuck I was. He's like scared out of his wits because he thought maybe he lost a child, you know. And, you know, then I was like standing right in front of him, he couldn't see me, and I just sounded like a little whistle. And like, he like jumped out of his fucking skin and looked at me, and I'm like covered in mud, you know. He was like, Jesus Christ, man. He's like, that's another story. I tell that on another video. Fuck it. But that's where the thing about being brown came from. Stay brown. That just evolved into whatever it evolved into. Imitating black music, I don't know, whatever. Some old gospel songs and shit like that. Some of the earlier Ween stuff was like, you know, making fun of gospel music and stuff like that. Dragged to freaking churches and stuff and actually like made to sing gospel songs like that in Sunday school, sort of shit. Hold on a second. Something's up with this plant, and it's like the roots were kind of sticking up there and there's some dirt on top of it. It's a curry plant. Anyway, I guess I'll just stop. I just said enough about this one for now.